You send the message, then you watch the three dots appear, then disappear, then appear again, and something in your chest tightens that has no business tightening over something this small. You reread what you wrote. Was that too much? Did that sound needy? Should you have waited longer to reply in the first place, so it would not look like you were sitting there waiting? You are an adult. You have accomplishments. You have opinions you actually hold. And yet, here you are recalibrating your entire nervous system around the punctuation choices of another human being's text message. This is not an isolated moment. This is a pattern that has been running quietly in the background of your entire life. The subtle edit of your opinion in a meeting, softened before it leaves your mouth, in case someone disagrees. The laugh that comes out slightly too early, slightly too eager when your boss makes a joke that was not funny. The version of yourself you perform at dinner parties, calibrated in real time to whatever will earn the most nods of approval. You have spent years building a life optimized for one metric. What will they think of me? And here is the paradox. Almost nobody tells you about that question. The harder you chase approval, the less of it you actually receive. There is a peculiar law that governs human respect, and it runs almost exactly backwards from how it feels. The more visibly you need someone's approval, the less that person respects you, and the less you need it, the more they find themselves, often against their own will, drawn towards you. This is not a motivational slogan. It is a mechanism, and once you see it, you cannot stop seeing it everywhere. Think about the people in your own life you respect the most, not the people who are the loudest or the most agreeable or the most eager to please. The people who tell you the truth, even when it costs them something. The people whose no actually means no. The people who seem in some fundamental way unbothered by whether you like them. Now think about the people you find yourself quietly losing respect for. Often, it is not because they did anything wrong. It is because they agree with everyone. They apologize for opinions they have not even finished stating. They restructure their entire personality around whoever is standing in front of them. We do not consciously choose to respect the first group and dismiss the second. It happens beneath awareness. In some ancient social calculation, we inherited long before we had language to explain it. Because approval seeking, at its core, signals something your nervous system was built to detect instantly. It signals a lack of internal center, and human beings, on some primal level, do not trust people without a center. We cannot predict them, we cannot rely on them, and what we cannot rely on, we do not respect, no matter how nice it is to us. To understand why this happens, you have to understand what approval seeking actually costs you, because it is far more than just an occasional awkward text message. Every time you soften a true opinion to avoid disagreement, you are teaching the people around you that your words are negotiable. Every time you say yes to something you do not want to avoid the discomfort of disappointing someone, you are teaching them that your boundaries are decorative, not real. And people learn this about you shockingly fast. Long before you consciously notice it happening, the people around you have already built an accurate model of exactly how much they can push, override, or dismiss you, simply by watching how eagerly you fold. This is the quiet tragedy of the approval seeker. They believe they are being liked. In reality, they are being calculated. Friends learn which requests you cannot refuse. Colleagues learn which opinions of yours can be steamrolled in a meeting. Family learns exactly which guilt trip reliably works. None of this is usually conscious or cruel on their part. It is simply what happens when a person consistently signals that their own preferences are optional. Other people, quite reasonably, begin to treat them as optional too. And here is the cruelest part of the trap. The more this happens, the more anxious the approval seeker becomes, because deep down they can sense they are being slowly erased. So they try harder. More accommodation, more agreement, more self-erasure disguised as kindness, which only accelerates the exact dynamic they are desperately trying to prevent. This pattern has a name in psychology, though the label matters less than the mechanism underneath it. It is often described as sociotropy, an excessive orientation toward maintaining approval and connection, even at direct cost to one's own needs. But long before modern psychology gave it a clinical name, Ancient thinkers had already diagnosed the exact same disease using different language. The Stoics called it living according to the opinions of others rather than according to reason. Epictetus argued that the moment you hand your sense of worth to another person's judgment, you have handed them control over your entire inner life, not metaphorically, literally. Because now your peace of mind rises and falls entirely on variables you do not control. A stranger's mood, a friend's passing comment, an algorithm deciding whether your post is worth seeing. This is the quiet horror of chronic approval seeking. It does not merely cost you respect from others, it slowly dissolves your relationship with yourself because you have stopped consulting your own judgment about anything that matters. Every decision gets outsourced to a simulation running in your head of what other people might think, and a person who no longer consults their own judgment does not just become less respected. They become, in a very real sense, less present, less real to the people around them, because there is less and less of an actual person underneath all that accommodation. So what changes the pattern? Not arrogance, not becoming cold or combative or performing indifference as some new persona to impersonate. The shift is quieter and far more internal than that. It is the moment you locate your own approval as the primary source and everyone else's approval as secondary. Welcome when it comes, not required. This is not the same as not caring what people think. That is a lie. People tell themselves to sound tougher than they are. Healthy people do care. The difference is where the final vote gets cast. The approval seeker asks, what do they think of this? And can I live with their answer? The self-respecting person asks, what do I think of this? And can I live with my own answer? Only after that question is settled do they consider what others think as useful information, not as a verdict. This single reordering changes almost everything about how a person moves through the world. Their opinions stop being soft because they are no longer auditioning them for approval before speaking. Their yes starts meaning yes because it is no longer extracted through guilt or fear. And paradoxically, this is precisely the moment other people begin leaning in rather than away. Because a person with an internal center becomes, without even trying, more trustworthy. You know where they stand, you know their agreement is real because it was not manufactured out of fear. Respect, it turns out, is not something you can chase directly. It is a byproduct of being predictably, calmly, honestly yourself. So what does this actually look like, practically, starting today? Start noticing the edit. The next time you feel yourself softening a true opinion before it leaves your mouth, pause. Notice the impulse. You do not have to be harsh. You simply have to stop pre-apologizing for having a perspective at all. Practice the pause before yes. The next time someone asks something of you, resist the urge to answer instantly. Approval seekers say yes fast because the discomfort of the asker's disappointment feels unbearable, even for a few seconds. Give yourself permission to say, let me think about that, and actually mean it. Let silence sit, in conversation, in group settings, in moments where you would normally rush to fill space with reassurance or agreement. Let a beat of silence exist. Silence feels unbearable to an approval seeker. It feels neutral, even comfortable, to someone with an internal center, and separate disagreement from rejection. Somewhere along the way, you learned that someone disagreeing with you was a small emotional emergency. It is not. Two people can hold different views and still fundamentally respect each other. In fact, that is usually the only way real respect gets built at all. None of this requires becoming someone harsher or someone who no longer cares. It requires becoming someone whose care for others no longer requires the total abandonment of oneself. Return now to the phone, face down on the table, the three dots, appearing and disappearing. Imagine instead, simply not checking. Not because you do not care about the person on the other end, because your sense of worth is no longer sitting inside their response, waiting to be handed back to you. This is not indifference. This is what it actually feels like to have a self, and the strange, almost unbelievable truth waiting on the other side of that shift is this. The moment you stop performing for approval, you stop looking like someone who needs it. And the moment you stop looking like you need it, something in other people, quietly, involuntarily, begins to respect you. Not because you demanded it, because you finally, after all this time, stopped auditioning for it. So here's the only question that actually matters. Whose approval have you been quietly living for that you have never once stopped to ask whether you even wanted?